Hello everyone, Dick Wolf for the Franklin County Buzz. In a few minutes we're going to turn loose some video on you. We went to a meeting of the Franklin County Firefighting Committee and about 50 firefighters from throughout Franklin County. It seems to me that Franklin County people have learned nothing from history. It was about 15 years ago that the county had a fire chief, a countywide fire chief, and they fired him. So we're going to let this video roll. It's the entire meeting. We haven't edited it, and if you're a firefighter and you're willing to put in the hour and change that it plays, have at it. It's broadcast to you as a public service from the Franklin County Buzz.
All of you have a copy of the minutes from the last meeting on July the 23rd. I'll give you a few moments to read it, and then I'll need a motion to approve the minutes in a second.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I'll have a motion in a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay, Kathy Blazer, are you here? Kathy Binkley? Not here, okay. There's been some progress, I think, made. I'm not exactly sure everything that's been made of the new towers that were supposed to be put up. Mr. Mike Holmes, are you here? Do you have a report for us on any of that, or?
Well, it's my understanding, land has been purchased, and we actually did, well, I mean, you'll have to tell me that, because I don't know. I've heard it has been, I heard it's just been surveyed. But from our standpoint, we've got some new radio studies back as far as further coverage there. The 911 board had requested that we do some testing. Trying to work out the testing, the problem we've come up with is that this is going to be 180 feet tall, and you can't get a portable apparatus or anything like that that can get an antenna 180 feet up in the air. So we've done some further studies as far as software goes. Included in the contract with Motorola is the caveat that if the customer doesn't realize the coverage that is depicted on that map, then Motorola will at their own expense make that happen. So hoping to work with the 911 board and kind of get that settled, and that's as far as I know.
The land has been purchased. Okay. So how long, what's your time period on this? Do you know, or do you have any idea? Or?
We have no approval to purchase equipment or start the project, so all we know is the land's been purchased.
Did something change? Because according to this, the last time when you spoke with her, she said that the 5 acres coverage cost $5,500 and at least 95% accuracy.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said, the last time we met, you stated that the new tower was for 5 acres of coverage and that there was at least a 95% accurate rate. Would be at least 95% accurate. Now you're saying that they can't get the tower tall enough?
I think.
Am I missing something?
I think you're quite. Let me back up a little bit because I don't understand the question.
Okay.
5 acres of land is what the tower sits on.
Right.
And we did some studies and they're 95% accurate. But we've backed up and done some further studies as far as once we tightened up the frequency. But what the 911 board requested was physical testing, putting a radio down in Sherwood, roaming around, trying to talk back. Problem is, you can't get a portable tower 180 feet tall.
And that's the whole point, is to try to get Sherwood,
right,
so you can communicate with it.
Right, but the propagation studies that Motorola has done provides a map of that coverage. And we talked about this, I think, in the last meeting. I showed some coverage. I think there were some members of the 911 board that weren't really confident in that computer modeling. So, but like I said, there's some physical limitations about a 180-foot portable tower or a way to get an antenna 180 feet in the air. That's why there's millions of dollars spent on software that does that modeling, and that's the 95% accuracy from that computer model.
Thank you.
Ms. Kathy, sit down. That's okay, you have a report for us on, Mr. Holmes was kind of telling us about the purchase of the land and everything for the tower. Do you have any additions to that, or?
The only thing that, I didn't hear what all Mikey said, I did hear something about the 911, there was some additional testing done. Mike was supposed to get me a propagation study of the top of what they are, okay. He's got me a study about having it in hand to see what the handheld radios are going to do. So I'll take that to the 911 board. Other than that, we're still working on that project.
So the 911 board's in agreement with everything that's been done so far?
That's correct. One of the members wanted some additional testing to see what kind of coverage we're gonna get. So Mikey had a propagation study on the mobile radios, but we wanted to see what the handheld radios was gonna do, what kind of coverage. So I'll take that to the December meeting.
Okay. The chief from Cross Creek here?
No, Mary's not gone on vacation this week. That's what I'm here to see what's going on.
In the minutes, it said he had a problem with the site for the tower. Are you familiar with that, or?
I'm not, I didn't know nothing about this meeting until about 3 o'clock this evening.
So the new tower is also gonna include the, all the 911 communication in the county, is that right?
It's gonna include what?
The sheriff's department, Cowan, Huntland, Astral Springs, the whole gamut, right?
This tower in Sherwood is going, basically, it'll cover Sherwood and then like the sheriff's department and responders in the valley. I don't think it's gonna do any help for anybody else in the county.
I think some discussion with the Breakfield Road, I think it may help some in like Roark Cove in that area, toward that side, instead of versus.
According to the model, Roark Cove is a big dead spot. The thought process has been to move, the voter repeaters at Timpson Library to another location that would probably cover that. Phase 2, reallocate that equipment, because that was put in place actually to cover the Crow Creek Valley. And due to some problems, apparently it stopped doing that, so, that's the thought process, is move that over to another location, try to shoot up into Roark's Cove and cover Capitol Hill outdoor area.
But we already have that equipment.
Yeah, you already have the equipment.
I think there's 2 towers right there pretty close to the fire department.
Mike, at the last meeting, is it still, was the land secured in jump off, is that where the land
It is
was
at the
for
very
this?
end of Old CCC Road,
Okay.
on the Gager Mine property.
And just for everybody here, the actual tower will be up on the mountain,
Right.
up on, not just down, it won't be down in the Crow Creek area, it'll be up on the mountain.
Really kind of in jump off.
Yeah, we jump off area.
I do want to let y'all know, I do have 2 towers at the sheriff's department. I got the state, about 120 foot and 180 foot tower that we might use for our other projects. So I don't know if y'all knew that or not since the last meeting. We do have them on our possession.
And those come from the state surplus, didn't they, the highway patrol?
Yeah. We may have to get some new nuts and bolts and stuff, but we do have 2 towers. The county does have 2 towers.
Anybody else have any questions?
What size are those towers?
120 foot and 180 foot. For self-supporting towers.
Where are they located at?
They're at the sheriff's department.
Okay, on the sheriff's department's property?
Pardon me?
On the sheriff's department's property?
Yes, ma'am.
They're disassembled, they're not
Okay,
erected.
okay.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to know where we at on getting all the static taken care of that comes across the radios all night long.
What static are you talking about?
It's the same, I don't know what you call it, I don't know if it's interference from something else. But here about 2 weeks ago, on Friday night, it's all night. Saturday night, when it got dark, it picked up again.
Was it Toledo or?
I don't know what it's from.
We haven't had any issues with any static. To my knowledge, nobody's called me. We had AT&T, they went through and fixed the T1 lines. And it's been going real good.
How many of the fire departments had it here about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I mean, it was the point, my wife got up and turned my radio off.
We have been aware of that for several of the past meetings. And one of the things that Motorola had talked with us about was microwave, line of sight, and improving the communications and hoping that that will drop some of its static away. I mean, a lot of the chiefs have told us they don't like hearing that noise all night long, and we do understand it's a problem.
I don't think that's a problem for this board, I think that's a problem for the 911 board. You do have a 911 board, that controls it. Yes, Mr. Holmes?
If I could for just a minute, the microwave the connections that we discussed will not cover any bleed over or static or interference that comes in. That's just replacing the recurring costs of the connections that the county already has.
Okay,
That wouldn't affect the static or any bleed over that's coming into the system.
okay.
And it's my understanding that as far as our technicians from our office have not actually laid hands on any equipment in Franklin County for quite a while. There's been another vendor that's handled that, so, we would have to look at it and see what we come up with.
Any more questions? We met with CTAS again. We met with CTAS again, and they're still highly recommending that, we package a deal for a countywide fire marshal. We turned the, proposal down at the meeting because we felt like that in the proposal that was presented that, we had various calls that so-and-so was gonna be appointed and this and that and the other, and, we felt like a committee needed to be appointed to, interview the candidates that applies for this position, and, the county mayor has agreed to that also. We've also decided to, before that, to try to meet with each of the, countywide fire chiefs, set up an appointment and meet with them. We felt like that this would be very beneficial and sit down and discuss this. We also feel like on the committee to interview the people that we also need, a couple of the fire chiefs that be elected by the fire committee to be on that interview process. Do you all have anything to say about that, or?
Well, also the scope of the job is more than just
Countywide fire marshal,
fire
yes,
marshal.
sir.
That's what
I'm gonna
needs
step,
to be discussed, and Chuck's got some ideas on that.
I'm gonna step out of the line there just a little bit, and I'm probably gonna make some people mad with what I'm about to say. I don't think we need this position. I think we've got a man in place that can take care of this job. I think we need to line out if there's some, which I agree, we have some new things with the Title VI and things that are coming in that we have to take care of. I think we need to look about, if we even have to add this, and I'm talking to the person I'm saying, is Eric Truss, our EMA director. if we have to add this to it, or we have to add some duties to him, even if we come in and say, let's add, if we have to pay more money because of the scope of his job, it's still cheaper than hiring a new person in a new position. And then we need to line out and be fair to Eric, because he is in the position. We need to line out our expectations once we figure this out. This is what we want, this is what we would like to see happen. We need to give him a chance to do that. And then if he can't do that, then we'll take that issue up at that time. But that's my feeling, that's the reason I voted to not table it. If we're gonna do it, let's go forward with it and see what we got. But that's my feelings on the whole position.
I think there was other things there that they was, what is it, something there, that other duties that they had other than the countywide fire marshal there in the job description or in what we needed, they would also be.
But even like the special projects coordinator, is that not some of Eric's duties now? Is that not what he's supposed to be doing now anyway? I mean, he has been in the past.
Obviously, the people that started this, and from what I understand, the mayor requested that this position be established. And he and Mr. Van Buskirk, and I'm sure Angie was in on it. I was not, so I'm at a loss as to what all went on. But obviously, the mayor thought there was a need for this position.
Right.
So that's all I'm going on. So for your idea, I would have to say I couldn't agree at this point just because the mayor requested that we start this discussion.
And I guess I've got a little more insight because I work with all these guys every day. I'm in the fire department, I understand what goes on. I think we can fix what we got. There's no need in creating a position and creating money. I disagree with the mayor, you know, I don't have to agree with the mayor every time he says something, but I disagree with him. I think we can.
But since you're all here, it would look to me like that we need, as commissioners, we need to listen to you, and let's discuss the special projects director and what your problem with it is, because the way I look at it, and the information that I have, it seems that it would make the fire departments, the volunteer fire departments, more cohesive if you had the right person. But I also understand that when you are in a position of volunteering and doing your best, you want input. And so is it because you don't like the idea of somebody that's name has been floated for the job, or is it the job itself? And so as a commissioner, I'm interested in your input.
Don't mind me standing up. I'm Chief David Pendergraft, Leicester Springs Fire Department, and I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Franklin County Fire Chief for tonight's meeting and any questions that you have. I think from the start with and get-go is that as the rural fire board, y'all yourself need to be educated. There's no question about it. I mean, we're not gonna sit here and say that we know what y'all do, and y'all can't sit there and say y'all know what we do, because you don't. I mean, there's no way about it, okay? Touch on what Chucky's been talking about down here is why do we want to create a position at $60,000 a year when you've already got somebody in a position that can take that slack up? If it means hiring him somebody else, then hiring him somebody else. Cut that salary in half and do a part-time position and be able to do what you need to do. I'm sorry, folks, but it's a little warm in here.
What is it that we need to do?
I think one of the big things that, and not to interrupt Chief there, but I understand that one of the main things with this position that, as far as us, because we fund money and they take care of the firefighting duties. Basically, we contract with these 15 fire departments that they provide the fire coverage and we provide the money, which I understand we have to have some rules and regulations in place. We tell them this is, we gotta have some stuff we expect. Each individual department is different. I mean, they all have their own niches and they're all good. They try to do the best they can with what they got. And essentially with the new and the state legislature, they come in with this Title VI money and state money that comes and federal money. Basically, we've got to have a person that looks over the money. Any kind of grant money goes to any of the fire departments, even to some of our city departments through the county, or if it's a rural grant. we've got to show, we've got to account for that money. Basically, we need an audit person that watches over this money. It says, all right, if you get $5,000, we wanna know where did you spend your $5,000? We wanna know what you did with it. It's gotta be held accountable, which I think, you know, why pay $60,000 when even if we have to add more money to Eric or give him a part-time position? Such a big audit.
Since you wanna start on that, so we're all being held accountable.
Right.
Okay? Each individual fire department, whether you're city or rural, is being held accountable by their city board or their rural board. They have to answer. Their money is accounted for every time they spend a dime, it gets accounted for. Whether you're a city or you're a rural department, either way, it gets accounted for. Now, as of this year, all fire departments in the state of Tennessee, regardless of what you are, had to start submitting a budget to the state comptroller's office in Nashville, Tennessee. Everybody. So the comptroller's office is now getting involved with rural and city fire departments on how they're spending their money. So you have to submit that. That started this year, and that went into effect. So as of July 1st, right after that, we all received a letter stating, we need a copy of your budget. We want to know where you spent your money at last year. So they asked for all of that. So let me back up here and let me look at this job description thing here that got sent out here. And I'm gonna start with the first one. Ensure proper training and maintain the required records of training of all volunteer fire departments. I think first of all, if you walked in any volunteer fire department in this county and said, hey, let me take a look at your training records and see what kind of training you got, I think you're gonna be surprised. I think you're gonna be surprised more than what you think. At least 90% of all firefighters in the county are up to date on the minimum standard required by the state of Tennessee. 50% of all the firefighters in the county have a higher level of education than required by the state of Tennessee. Now, we can back those numbers up. All you got to do is go to any fire department, sit down and talk to these people and say, what kind of training have you got? They'll open the door and they'll tell you what they got. We've got hazmat techs. We have instructors, not just local instructors, but state instructors. Okay? We have people that's attended the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland on several occasions and taken all kinds of classes. I myself have taken 4 40-hour classes of management at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Now, you want to talk about training, we can do it, because we do it. We've established a county-wide training committee. They meet once a month down here in this room, just like the chiefs do. And they set forth training, they schedule training. Mr. David Barnes right here is part of that committee. And they set the training, and they put it out there for all the fire departments, and we'll have people as far away as Chattanooga, Cleveland, Nashville, and Murfreesboro come down here and train in this room back here because they think this facility is better than what our own state academy has over in Decent. Now that says a lot. That says a lot for this group in this area. So why do you need to pay somebody $60,000 a year to go around and make sure somebody's doing some training? Yes, ma'am.
Could you explain to me where you got the $60,000 a year figure?
Well, I don't know exactly what the figure is on that job. I may just be throwing that out there. And that's my mistake, and I apologize for that. So I'm not sure.
Heard a number.
I haven't either, but just estimate it and what we've been kind of playing around with benefits and everything else, you're looking at close to $60,000 a year.
Okay.
With insurance and benefits.
I said that's not been established. I
Okay.
just want everybody to know.
I understand, and I apologize for that. I probably shouldn't be just throwing that figure out there. So I guess in the long run, I think what we need to do is do a little more communication between us and y'all. And whatever questions y'all got, we'll try to answer. And whatever questions we got, y'all need to try to answer. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay? So what does the board want from these fire departments? That's our first question right now.
I think that's why Mr. Van Buskirk wanted me with, it's not mine, this is his and CTAS that recommended that we set up a meeting with each individual fire chief to discuss this. CTAS has recommended this to us, where most of the counties are going to this now. So that's why, and he's not here tonight, so I can't speak for him. All I know is just, he said if you all had an idea of when you wanted to meet,
I understand.
and put it down, and that he would be glad to meet with you. That's all I know.
Sorry, I mean, we got a whole panel of people here, and I know some of you are new to this committee, some of you are new commissioners, and just not quite understanding what's going on and what's taking place. Now's your time. That's what I'm getting at.
I think, first of all,
I have become more educated in the last few weeks about it. I'm glad things did get tabled because I agree with Chuck's assessment that I think I disagree with the mayor going forward long term. I think this could be either taken care of by Eric or getting Eric a part-time person instead of Hunter much full time. That's just my opinion. I think what Dave and maybe the mayor, I haven't talked to the mayor personally, you're asking what he probably wanted out of this. What I generally believe that they wanted out of this was like everything else, bottom line money. How could we save the county money on things like insurance, buying things in bulk, things like that? If we could get the fire departments within the county to work together to say, you know, okay, if we get 25 helmets, we might get them cheaper than like 5. That was the kind of things that I thought that they were wanting to do, get things under like get all the insurance under one umbrella, all those kind of things to save money. That was what it was presented to me, why they wanted to have this person. This person would be assigned to get grants, be on top of it and get grants and things like that all the time. So to me, it was all about money. I mean, that's my.
About saving the county money.
Be saving money.
But I don't know if by creating this position, we would really be saving the county.
That's my follow-up question. How are you saving money by creating
That's what I'm saying.
positions?
The more I've educated myself, the more I don't know if that adds up.
And then you go back to the insurance too. You got your city fire departments, they fall under impasse, and the county fire departments are CPAS.
We fall under different types of
Different
insurance.
types of insurance.
Yeah.
So it'd be, because I know your cities, they're all based in blanket policies, and then your rural departments are gonna be different too, so that's gonna be a whole nother issue that we would have to look at.
Mr. Allmark, do you have a question?
Yeah, Chief, thank you for telling me that. I live in Estill Springs and we got a good fire chief. On the Chuck's idea of, like Eric filling in a position to help with this, do you see is that something that you would be open to?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we've got the position, we have the means, and all we need is the necessities now to get it going.
So you're open to him to help coordinate between departments and stuff and communications and whatever?
I think it's a start.
Okay.
Basically, you're saying you're just against hiring a person and naming him, you're okay with the position being handled by someone already on staff?
I don't really think we're against hiring somebody. I think we're against hiring somebody and taking the money out of rural fire, which goes to rural fire, to fund the position. I think that's where we're.
And that was coming out of rural fire, you still get the same amount of money, it's not coming out of rural fire,
The resolution.
and it's coming out of some of the other departments also.
The Finance Committee, the legislative body, has been asked to ascertain if funds are available to establish a new paid position to address these concerns in regard to countywide fire system and other areas of safety, and the Finance Committee has reported that such funds have been found within the county general fund in the form of funds collected from the hotel motel tax, presently allocated to Franklin County Fire Protection. So now, are we saying that we're not taking money from county fire and gonna pay this position? Because it's in this resolution, that's what you're gonna do. That's what it says right there.
On the county, it was my intention that each of the departments were still gonna get their same amount of money. But there is a fund that some of that money has, my understanding, and I could be wrong.
There is a
But
fund.
there's a fund that
There
some
is
of
a
that
fund
money,
right
you
now.
know, was put back, and there's a savings on that they was gonna use that.
There is a
instead of
fund, it's a
giving
hotel
y'all
motel
your-
tax fund, right
your
now,
same
there's
amount of money.
$240,000 in that fund that belongs to rural fire, that's supposed to be distributed to rural fire. Over the last how many ever years, that money's been sitting there being allocated. Okay? Here is a resolution from July 1st, 2012. I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
I was just saying, you're saying that this money's been sitting, $100,000 has been sitting in this.
$240,000, yes, ma'am.
Has been sitting in this fund for a lot of years and it's never been allocated to you?
No, ma'am, we've never received a dime of that money. I don't
Never
know.
asked that question to anybody.
Did not know we had presumed over the years that money has been being allocated out along with the rural fire tax money until several months back, when Mr. Van Buskirk advised us that they was $240,000 some odd dollars.
In the finance department, verify that there's that much money. sitting
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
That's not a number that's just.
No, it's 240,000 plus. I'm not sure on the exact figures. Anybody remember what it is by chance, chiefs?
But the money was allocated for the fire department. It was not dispersed.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not been
allocated,
dispersed.
There
it's
is a
not
difference. It was
dispersed.
allocated.
Exactly.
Yes.
You don't, no one has ever asked that question as to why
We,
it's not
again, we did not realize that money was there
until
Van Buskirk, Mr. Van Buskirk mentioned that, 2 months ago or 2 months ago, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
we can't speak for him, so I.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand.
I'm just.
Mr. Cantor.
Okay.
That money was supposed to be incentive money. When 2011, when the commission, which I was on, increased the hotel motel tax, it's supposed to be incentive money to be given to the fire departments for incentive. And if David don't mind me interrupting.
No, Mr. Cantrell, go ahead.
And nothing against Eric again, because he hadn't, 2006, when I was elected as commissioner, I went to Eric, and disagree with me if I'm wrong, Eric. I went to Eric and I said, Eric, the fire departments, I've been on Lexus Crossroads Fire Department for 25-something years. The fire departments don't respect you, and you don't respect them. You do nothing for them. You get stuff, you don't allocate it to them. And I said, you need to start working with them fire departments. He has not worked with them fire departments since then. I agree with Chuck. EMA director ought to be a liaison coordinator to work with the fire departments, not tell them what to do, to work with them and help them. The special project person, give them a decent salary, put them in Eric's department to help him. He's got a grant, they write grants all day long, do a great job of it. There's a grant writer right there. So all that could be put into his department. But by no means should anybody be made fire chief, fire coordinator, whatever, to try to tell these fire departments what to do.
But back to what you just said, you said this $240,000 was,
It started building before 2011. 2011, it is in the resolution that where the extra motel tax was put, it was supposed to be incentive money.
Incentive for what, though?
For the fire departments.
Just
It was supposed to stay to the fire departments. Back in...
Mr. Cantrell, I think I can enlighten that.
okay, I got a teenager. I need $20 to clean your room. Don't do it and I'll beat you.
Well, the thing about it is none of that incentive money. They got their fire money, 30,000 plus a little, but they never got any incentive money. Whether it's a higher ISO rate, lower ISO rate, or whatever. And also back in, when was it, Bill?
Okay.
2000, back in 2006, 8, the mayor appointed a committee. Myself, Scott, Chief Faulkner, and Chief Lowhorn. We done a study on what could be done to kind of give ownership, make the departments kind of, own up to what's going on. We come up with all kind of ideas. We presented it, and if I'm not mistaken, CTAS and the mayor said there's nothing we can do. We cannot tell these fire departments what to do.
I want to know answer to this question.
All right, right here's a resolution. Here's a resolution from July 1st, 2012. Okay, and it says, be it further resolved that the proceeds from the local purpose tax will be allocated equally and totally among the 15 rural fire departments through quarterly distributions, with 2 exceptions. An allocation of $4,500 necessary for the training association, facility, and maintenance of repair of the vehicles. The 2011 increase in hotel motel tax to be reserved for incentive distribution. Okay? Now, an incentive distribution would be from CTAS when they come in 2005 and done a recommendation study and said Fire Department X needs a new piece of equipment, they need this, they need that, in order to reduce their ISO rating. When these fire departments had to go out here and do barbecue suppers, and they had to go out here and beg the community and beg their neighbor for money in order to buy that said equipment to decrease that ISO rating, that incentive money that's been sitting there in the bank would have helped cover that cost. Is that a fair explanation?
It is. Yes.
There's a lot of fire departments here, their ISO rating did drop.
Thank you, Chief.
And why would that be? Why were they dropped?
Why were they dropped?
Because we pulled together as a county. I'm here for two reasons. I'm with the city, he's with the city, we're under impasse. I'm here to support our county fire chiefs. I'm here also to say that in our volunteer fire departments, those guys are trained just as good as we are. And so our ISO ratings have dropped down. We're Chief Faulkner. How much did yours drop down?
Went from a 9 to a 4?
We went from a 9.8 to a 5, and we dropped to a 4.
To a 4.
Why?
Because they improved their equipment, they improved the way they done their job, they improved training, all kinds of standards. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I think you're on the same board when you said it dropped. I was thinking it went negative.
So again, here's what we need to do. ISO.
Chief Pendergrass has the floor, let's let him finish.
I wanna know, yeah.
ISO stands for Insurance Service Organization.
Okay.
They contract with every insurance company in the United States, okay? They deem the rate that you pay every year on your homeowner's insurance. They tell the insurance company, here's what you need to charge, and that's what you get charged. If you have a higher rate, say a 10, you're gonna pay more insurance money per year. Each time a fire department gets rated and they reduce that rate, you should receive a letter from your insurance company saying, hey, your fire department's doing well. They just saved you $400 this year. Or they saved you X amount of dollars this year. Okay? When the 2005 study was done from CTAS, since that point in time, every fire department in this county has received a reduction in their ISO rating. Every fire department in this county has received equipment. Not by what the county's done. They've done it by doing it on their own and seeking out grants from the federal government. The county has not helped no fire department in this county, not one time, achieve buying a new truck, buying new air packs, or none of that. Because these fire departments, the rural departments, cannot operate off $30,000 a year. And I believe from an earlier meeting this year that we had, that I was sitting at, and that was one of the questions that I presented to y'all at the time, was getting more money for these fire departments. Because they can't operate. And I believe that it all stems and goes forward to, well, apparently they're not managing their money. Yeah, they're managing their money, but you need to take a look at their budget. One gets submitted every year down here to the finance office. They have to submit that budget before they even get their first check. So, under the job duties, one of the other ones was submit to the county mayor the annual proposed budget for all volunteer fire departments. It's already there. Half of the stuff that's in here is already being done. So why do we need to be doing two-stepping here?
I'm finding this very informative, so, you know, I don't know, I'm a new commissioner, and I don't know a lot of things.
I understand.
I've not been in all
understand.
the discussions with Dave
And Dave has met with more than anybody else, and he has met with you all,
all the people
I
that
think, at numerous
I
times.
understand. And again, I believe it's been a communication breakdown, and that's what
And
we're
I'm
doing
sorry,
here
he
tonight.
can't be here, the only thing, he said that, his recommendation was, CTAS recommended it, and most of the counties are going to this. And I think there may be some, wait a minute, I'm not through talking. There may be some stipulations on Eric's position that CTAS has told him about that I don't know about, that there's things that maybe he can't do according to the state law. Now, I don't know that. I'm just going by what Mr. Van Buskirk has said, and that his intentions was to save money for the 15 departments. And I'd rather postpone this meeting and wait till he can be back, because he knows more about it than
That's understandable.
the rest of us, because I don't.
I have a question for Ms. Fuller. You keep referring back to Mr. Van Buskirk, keep saying in CTAS. I want to know why you think this is a good idea. You used to be in the fire service.
I think it's a
This
good
should-
idea because.
I'm not
maybe
finished with the question, please.
Okay.
It's obvious, it's painfully obvious, this is a redundant system. It's not needed in the fire service. Chief Pendergraft has done an excellent job pointing this out. I want to know why you think this is a good idea and why you want to keep tabling it. We need to talk about it. And I want to hear why you think this is a good idea.
I think it's a good idea because I met with the guy that's over the one in Rutherford County.
Who, and his name is who?
I don't remember his name, but. we
But you
met
remember his
with him.
idea was a good idea.
Well, we met with him because CTASC introduced him to us and he explained to us what he'd done and what he didn't do.
You
And
have minutes of this
I
meeting?
can see where, not in just a meeting, if we didn't have a formal meeting when we was just introduced at a county commission workshop that we were at, no.
But with that meeting, you brought to the table with Mr. Van Buskirk as well, a new position in the county that's paid, that is completely redundant.
That's a recommendation from the state in 2005.
Exactly.
And since 2005, nobody has been.
I'd still like to know why Ms.
working
Fuller
the
thinks
goal
this
of-
is a good idea right now in 2015, more than a decade beyond than that meeting that you said you went to.
That meeting took place recently.
Yeah, because CTASC had recommended it.
Again, we'll see that.
Okay, again, I recommend you rotate your tires every 5,000 miles. Does that necessarily mean you need to rotate them every 5,000
I
miles?
don't think we should be attacking.
We're not, okay? So, let me do some clarification if you don't mind, okay?
Chief, I still not received an answer, and I'm sorry if my
I
tone
understand.
seemed like I was
I understand, Mr.
attacking. I
Bond.
just want to get my point
I
across.
think she answered the question when she said that she met with someone and she liked what they had to say about it. And this
With how much
whole-
money they had saved for even Lincoln County and Rutherford County. And when Mr. Hayes came down from CTASC and met with us, and they was telling us how much money these departments had saved when they bought stuff as they grew.
Still
You
poses
know,
more
I could see
questions
that
than
it
it
would help
answers.
you all.
It does, Mr. Barnes, that's understandable. Ms. Fuller, I don't really think you want to compare us to Lincoln County and some other counties you're in reference to, because right now, our county is 3 times in better shape than those counties are fire-wise.
Well, I'm not
We have-
saying they are,
We have
they
a
are.
better ISO rating than they do, and it don't matter how much bulk stuff you're buying, that's not really gonna change the matter of fact of anything.
But I would like to make a point.
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand what all of y'all are frustrated about something, and it's our job, in my opinion, to find out what, before we cast any votes for or against. And I can promise you, I am not casting a vote for this until I feel like that all areas of and I feel like anybody on this board would be in the same position. This committee, I'm not casting a vote until I feel like that all of your questions have been answered and all of my questions have been answered about what this is about. Because I know nobody wants authority shoved down their throat.
I understand.
Especially when they feel like that they've been doing a good job.
Okay, so.
But let me
No,
make
I'm
this
sorry,
point.
go ahead.
This entire committee made the proposal for this job, not just Ms. Fuller.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we voted to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
Then there, of course, the discussion follows, and that's where we are now. But,
Okay. All right, so from the incorporation of the rural fire service and the incorporation of the countywide fire board, it was deemed at that time, and it's under law, that the county executive or mayor, whatever holds that title, shall be known as the countywide fire chief, okay? Back in about 2006 or 2007, I'm not sure the date, but several years back, our county mayor stood before the fire chiefs and said, look, I don't know nothing about the fire service. I'd like to find somebody to chair this committee and be a coordinator between the two. That's where all this stems from. Because apparently he was right. He don't know nothing about the fire service. But apparently he didn't want to get educated or whatever his case may be. I don't know. I can't speak for the mayor. But that's where it stems from. A recommendation from CTAS is that itself a recommendation. Do you have to do what they recommend? No.
No.
It's the same way in the fire service. We're recommended and told every day by the National Fire Protection Association, you need to be doing this. Well, there's no fire department around here that's got a $50 million budget that can do all the stuff that NFPA recommends. So what do? We do the best we can do. So it's up to the rural fire board whether or not you want to institute this job. And that's what it stems from. But I think there's a lot of other things going on between the fire departments and this committee. And our second question, I'm sorry, ma'am?
What's the other thing?
Our second question is, why does the board think that the fire departments are not getting along? It's been mentioned several times, it's been quoted in the papers and newscasts and different stuff where fire departments just don't get along in this county. So that's our,
Who wrote
I don't know
that?
that. I've never, you know anything about
Quoted
it?
by whom?
It was in the newspaper, I read it too.
Okay, I mean, who was it that said Lisa Mason?
It had Angie Fuller's name in the beginning of the article, and then it was no longer quoted. If she said it, she said it, if she didn't, she didn't. But I think everybody in this room is in the opinion that she said it because she was the only she in that article.
It was said by several members of this committee at the last meeting. And I can produce a recording of it if you don't, but I remember you talking about it, and it was talked about several on this committee.
Okay, well, if we're talking, I don't know very many of you personally, so I don't know if you get along outside the room or not. I can say one of the things that I'm hearing is not a unified consensus on if you feel like we need a person, because I'm hearing from some people, we don't need a person full-time. Maybe we don't need a person at all, maybe we need a part-time person. Mr. Cantrell said maybe we need a person in Eric's department that works underneath him. But some other people are like, well, we don't need a person at all. I mean, so what is it? Do you want somebody to help you?
I think we can address that at a later date, once we come back around and get through some of this stuff. And then y'all can determine on whether or not you want to pursue this job,
I mean, 'cause this
or
is
what
about-
you really want to pursue.
We just wanna have somebody who helps you.
I understand.
Because, you know, I mean, I'm glad that you're doing your paperwork as far as it's the state mandated, but the bottom line is if my house is on fire, dude, I just want you to come to my house and show my fire.
I understand.
Who comes to your house? Who's your fire department?
We're taxpayers.
My fire department's the paid guy in the back of the room,
Well, what department is that?
Well, there's two of them.
Winchester.
Okay.
And you're second district representative, right? What districts are in your?
What fire department's in your district?
What, rural fire department
Yes,
in my
ma'am.
district?
Who are your
Probably
constituents?
Winchester Springs.
I'm sorry, Winchester Springs? Is that what you said?
Probably Winchester Springs.
Winchester Springs doesn't have a fire. Winchester Fire Department covers half of it.
Well, this is not an I got you.
Well,
We don't
well,
know.
Yeah,
No, no, I'm not
you're
trying
just
to,
here
no, I'm
to
trying to
help the fire department.
Do you know who your fire department is?
Not to be attacked.
Do you know who your fire department is? It's a simple
Who's
question.
that? Okay, who's here
I know my
representing
district,
District Two?
Winchester, I live in Winchester.
I think that's I kinda think that's what we're getting at, as you said that you really didn't know, and y'all really don't know.
We don't. We
There's
don't.
a lot
We're
of stuff y'all
sitting
don't
here
know.
under a recommendation
This is like when
from
you
other
meet with
people. Do
CTAS,
you wanna help her or
would you not
You
want
have-
to bring some of the experienced firefighters in the county with you to sit down with them?
I think initially when people meet with CTAS, so to speak, it's just a discussion and they throw out
Well,
ideas.
we're
and so-
you're using these recommendations as, we have to do this.
But I think what I'm
I've
trying to
met
tell
with
you is
CTAS. I know
y'all
who
don't
you're
need to be
dealing with.
upset, and we don't,
Okay.
any of us need
This
to be
is
upset.
the problem, every meeting you have, it's just a argument upset. I think we ought to table this until.
It's because you're not meeting with us and learning about what's going
Well,
on.
that's what Mr. Van Buskirk said, that
That's
he
what we
wanted
did,
to
we
meet,
did was argument
he
between
wanted this
everybody.
committee to
Chief
meet
Priest.
with every fire chief
Where is it?
I understand.
and set up,
Chief
a
Priest.
Chief
time
Grieger.
to do that, and sit down and discuss this.
Look, the two ladies on each side of Miss Fuller.
I'm Ms. Rudder.
I'm sorry, I didn't know your name, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But it seems to me like y'all are sincerely do not understand how the
Right.
fire service works.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
That's a fair assessment of my position.
Okay, then why are you going to depend on Mr. Van Buskirk? Why, just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Why not y'all meet with the individual chiefs and the fire departments and form your own.
I agree with you entirely, and that's why that this meeting tonight was important to me, and I was hoping there would be people here, because the other meetings that I have been here, nobody was here. So this is the second or third meeting that we've had, and this is the first time that there's been an audience that we could discuss it. But you're exactly right. As a county commissioner, it's my job to know before I vote, and you can be assured that I will know before I vote, because I am
super glad to hear that, because most of them don't.
Well, I will. Amen.
I think what we need to do, we keep putting this off, that we gotta meet with the fire chief or whatever, we need to go ahead and we need to set a meeting time. This is, okay, this is when we're gonna do it, we need to be here, if this committee wants to be here, this committee or any other county commissioner needs to be here, chiefs need to know this is when we're gonna be here, or anybody else, and we need to sit down and we need to work this out, and then we need to decide, do we want to go forward and remove the table and get rid of this job, or do we want to add the, how do we want to approach this? We're not getting anywhere tonight. It's important, but we need to.
I have a problem with
Right.
discussion.
But we keep saying that we're gonna meet, and we're gonna meet with the fire chiefs and all that stuff. We just need to go ahead and set a time, set a date. This is what we're gonna do, and then at the end of that, if it takes us 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, let's hash this out and get this over with. There's no need in us, all these guys work together. I mean, I see it from firsthand. They all work together. The job gets done, the fire gets put out.
Well, it's not broke, don't fix it.
I agree.
That's what we're trying to do.
Glad to hear somebody from that side.
I think,
I'm sorry, Ms. Rudder,
I just thought that some of the things that you said was that you weren't opposed maybe to the job, or having someone to help coordinate, or one person to go to, like it should be the mayor, but he doesn't want to take that on. That one person, you're not in opposition to that. It's having some input on who the person is and what the job actually, maybe scale down some of the
I don't want to speak out of turn for all the chiefs. Okay, but they asked me to be the speaker tonight and try to be the coordinator between the two to help resolve some issues. I think that's a question that we need to discuss amongst ourselves.
Right.
Because I don't think none of us are against change.
Right.
But the county itself has to be able to want to apply the change and do it within a respect that it's not gonna take away from what's already been done.
I would agree with that.
I think all of our fire chiefs, they do good and they do what they're supposed to do. And I don't think any of them's against having a person that's gonna help them or help them do things that they need to do. But they need to run, as each individual community is different. Everybody, each community, I know I've got about 5 different rural fire departments in my district. Each of them are different. They are different parts of the county. It's different.
One size doesn't fit all.
That's right.
It does not.
And CTASC, and that goes back to CTASC. CTASC is a blanket coverage for the whole state of Tennessee. It could fall back to Nashville or Davis County.
They're a paid organization that's gonna tell you what you wanna hear because you're giving them money every year.
Exactly.
That's all they are.
Well, I don't think they're the bad guys.
Well, they're not.
They're not. They have a lot
All they do is recommend. That's all they do. And it's not set in stone, and committee and the county commission itself does not have to follow what CTAS said. Mr. Allmark.
Chief, what would a time frame that you think would be good to get this back, the right people together to do it?
Next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Next week?
I think since the county mayor appointed Mr. Van Buskirk to be the go-between, and he meets with you all at your chiefs meetings, am I not right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, well,
One time.
I think,
Tonight,
I tell you what, I make a motion.
Who stands in for him when he's not here?
Miss Angie.
Then you ought to be able to make that date.
I just got the call this afternoon that
Whoever's appointed.
the mayor didn't appoint me. I just got the call.
Majority
from
rules and everything, so whatever the commission, whatever this committee wants
I
to
make
do.
the motion tonight that we allow the fire chiefs, they're gonna meet after this, to set a date that they can meet and get back with us, and Mr. Van Busker, the county mayor, and we'll set this date within the next, let's give a good time for everybody to get together. What, a week, 2 weeks?
Sounds good.
Let's say 2 weeks. That gives everybody time to get together. They can figure out a date that they can do it. They can come to us with a date. We can meet and let's get this over with.
And I'd like to second that, and I'd also like to say, since we've mentioned his name several times tonight, and he's obviously involved in this process at some point, Eric also be there with fire chiefs in on this meeting, and we also invite the mayor to be there to explain why he wanted to do it to begin with.
And our finance director.
And the finance, I agree, the finance director's.
And we all sit down in a room, and we talk, and work this out.
I want a list of the people that for the minutes, I want it very clear who you're inviting. Again, okay? We want somebody to say that for the minutes.
Well, I just think we've done.
Fire chief.
All the
Eric
fire.
Trussell.
Eric Trussell.
The mayor.
The mayor.
Andrea Smith, the director.
Andrea Smith.
And
All commissioners.
and
And all the finance, which that's Andrea.
Now, you want all the commissioners, or do you want countywide fire? Countywide.
We need countywide fire commissioners. Yes, it needs to be a stated meeting of ours.
Yeah.
But all
They
16
want-
commissioners
It's
need
gonna be
to
open
be made.
meeting.
It would be any open meeting.
All meetings.
Mr. Simons,
Yes.
the next date available for the meeting on the calendar is November the 12th.
What,
So just-
what is that?
It's a Thursday, November the 12th.
I may have a conflict, but.
Unless we can meet like a time after somewhere.
I have one other thing I'd like to present to the committee and address, and this is coming straight from the Herald Chronicle. Friday, October the 16th, this is the week of the commission meeting when this got tabled. And this is straight out of the paper, okay? Fuller and Edwards did not question the professionalism and dedication of the rural volunteer fire departments, but did voice concerns with the lack of consistency across the board training for all fire departments that might open up county to litigation. The county fire chief is supposed to go through 3 phases of fire school, and the mayor knows this as well as I do. Most of them have not been, she said. Now, I'm not talking about the city ones, but unless they keep this training up, we're in bad shape. Anybody like to elaborate on that?
Well, who's she? You're talking about Miss Angie?
Yes,
Well,
Well,
it
then
says
is that
Fuller
why
and
we just
Edwards did
asked
not
Angie?
question, so I presume that it's Miss Fuller, I presume it's Miss Fuller, okay? So,
I think it was Elders that questioned about the training, but my understanding that there is some training that has not been done in some of the fire departments. And,
Can-
Mr. Van Buskirk may know that, he may not. I know,
How can you make an
Okay.
accusation if you don't know?
please,
well, how can you get on Facebook
Please.
and down everybody? I mean, you know.
Hold on, hold
hold
on.
on, time out.
We're going there.
Quiet, everybody.
All right, Ms. Fuller, I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, it's what's printed in the paper. But I understand it, but I would like to know, when you said some fire departments don't have training or something or other, what are you referencing to?
I said that some fire departments had not kept up with their training like some of the other fire departments had.
Okay.
And that everybody needed to keep up with their training at the same rate. And that's why we were trying to save money.
Okay,
And if we had a countywide fire chief, they could maybe set a training and work with these people that,
that's,
say, some people in the volunteer fire departments work 3rd shift.
yes, ma'am,
And they can't come
right.
when they set training sometime. And if you had a countywide fire marshal that was trained to train, then maybe he could do that at another time during the day. That was what I was talking
Okay.
about.
All right.
Now, I don't know
And
how.
we try to accounting all firefighters, whatever shift they're working at.
Right.
And back in 2005, when the CTAS study was done, it was also recommended that we create a countywide fire training association, in which the Chiefs Association did do that. And those people are made up of each training officer within the fire department itself. And they will accommodate any member of any fire department. They will do one-on-ones. They will let you come to their station, even though you belong to another station, to get your hours in, whatever you need to get, okay? So was there any other reference to that besides that?
We just have.
It says the fire chief is supposed to go through 3 phases of the fire school. So what 3 phases of the fire school are you referencing to that the fire chief has to go through?
Well, when I was in the fire department, it was 1, 2, and 3. In the
Okay.
third one, you had to go to Murfreesboro and take the training and go through all that process. And I know the county mayor himself had said that some of the fire chiefs had not had the proper training.
And when time, and as time goes by, things change, and things have changed in the fire service drastically and dramatically over the years. The state has passed several laws that has really put a burden on these volunteer fire departments, that's really costing them some extra money. And a reference back to that $30,000 a year is not going to accommodate that. At the start of a firefighter joining a volunteer fire department, he has to have a 16-hour orientation class before he can do anything. That costs money. Then he has to have his EVOC, which is emergency vehicle driving. That costs money. Then he has to do his basic, 64 hours. That costs money. So all the training that's required just for a volunteer, it costs money. Fortunately, like the city departments, and I'm going to reference Winchester, Decker, because they're city departments, when they hire a guy, they have an opportunity to send him, right? He's paid as he goes to school because he's being paid by that city department. These volunteers take time off work and go do that. If the board really wants to help out and help these rural fire departments out, it's not always about the money. Let's try to work on some type of compensation. Something that you go drag the man out of the cornfield and say, hey, I've got you some money, you can go take this class.
Incentive. $240,000.
Exactly. Exactly.
Incentive money.
Right now, in the state of Tennessee, the chief is only required to have basic firefighting. If he don't want to progress beyond that, that's his option. That's the option for any firefighter. It's up to the department to pursue and push and provide incentives to that firefighter to further his education more than what you want him to be.
Yeah.
The fire chief is only entitled to take a 16-hour orientation class under the state law.
Something, since you're speaking for the group, something that would be wonderful information for us to have is collectively, if you could give us a list of what kinds of things would be qualify as an incentive. Like when you apply for a federal grant, they say, if you do A, B, C, D, we'll give you $15,000. So if you're saying, if you would say, hey, if we recruit somebody, we'd like $1,000 to send them to school. If we can say, hey, look, John Smith signed as a recruit and submit the form, now give us our $1,000. I mean.
In the CTAS study, the page before the fire marshal, there are suggestions on incentives to give volunteer firemen.
Okay. One of the things that was said here is we are a little bit different than Grundy County or Rutherford County, so let's customize it to our situation. I mean, because here in the city, we've got city paid fire, but out in Belvedere, you've got volunteers, and they're few and far between. So.
And Rutherford County is the same way. They have Murfreesboro Fire, and then they have Rutherford County Fire. In Rutherford County Fire, they staff 3 stations, volunteer fire stations. They staff them. They have money for that. And it helps out on response time for the other stations throughout Rutherford County.
That, I mean, like if you could come back to with, just like I said, a list that's pertinent to our situation as to, hey, this is what we think we should be getting this incentive money for. Because just to have this, we didn't know this, they're not telling us that they're holding back this $240,000.
They didn't tell us neither.
I think and that is something that needs to be, when we go back to this meeting, that's something that we need to put it all out there. And I think Chief Peterson had something.
When the word incentive came up, it seemed quite shocking to you. And I can't think of anything in the fire service that is more rewarding in a scale of lowering your ISO. And we all did that. And if that ain't an incentive, I don't know what an incentive is. That's something that should be looked at. Maybe that money shouldn't have been held on to.
Right now, the county has the incentive. Because if you try to pay all the firemen for what they're doing, that you're getting free service, the county ain't got enough money. They couldn't borrow enough money. Donald Trump wouldn't loan you enough money. I'm just telling you. But I've been in the fire service for 32 years. And several years back, I was having some issues with my city, and I sat down and figured out from the time I first joined the fire department, at what labor was at that point in time, at $2 and something an hour back in the 80s, up to this time, my city owes me over $350,000 right now. That's what they owe me. If I was being paid on an hourly wage, the minimum wage is what, 7 something now an hour? Over the last 30 years, that's what they owe me. So I want y'all to think about that. How much free labor has this county received from all these fire departments since they was incorporated? I think we're almost in the billions by then, when you do that. Yes, Ms. Rupp?
I would say that, Mr.
Peterson, yes, ma'am.
Brought up a good point about this money, this $240,000 that's somewhere. But it also brings up, in my mind, back to the point of why it would be good to have one voice. You know, a person that y'all could all go to, that could come to either the mayor or the countywide fire board or wherever, to take care of things like this.
That's what the chairman of this committee is supposed to be. He's supposed to be our voice to the county commissioners.
Okay. But evidently, that's Dave Van Buskirk
Yes,
at this
ma'am.
point in time. And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think his intentions, I know him to be a man of his word and would try to do the very best he can do. But in the past, he hasn't been here that long. So there's been somebody here
Understand.
that's dropping the ball. So
Understand.
I'm saying that it would be a good idea.
I'd like to say one thing on that right there, what you said, the chairman of the committee, but that, I can't see that ever being a good thing to do, because that chairman can change every year when the committee's.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up and then start from the beginning. Who's supposed to be chairing this committee from the get-go?
That was,
County mayor.
right now,
Bingo.
right now, we've got a motion and a second on the table. We've not took a vote on
I know.
that.
Yes, sir, sorry about that,
Figure
Mr.
up.
Sines, sorry about that.
Now, we've got a motion on the table. Would you repeat your motion, please?
Make a motion for the fire chiefs to meet to set a date for a meeting with this committee. We're also gonna invite all chiefs, all commissioners, Eric Trussell, the mayor, and the finance director. And it will be an open meeting.
Correct.
Sure. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, we'll vote on it. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the next, we've got to elect a chairman of our committee, for the coming year.
I make a motion that we re-elect Dave Van Buskirk.
Okay, I've got a motion to re-elect Dave Van Buskirk.
Second.
Okay, I've got a
I'd
motion.
like to make a motion for Mr. Steins for chairman.
I'll second that.
You're not on the committee.
You're not on the committee. You're not on the county committee.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for,
Oh, you are?
Mr. Stein. She said just a moment. Ms.
Right now, it's showing Finney is.
Ms. Finney is.
Mr. Goodman is? Mr. Goodman is, this is the standing committee that Mr. Goodman is on.
I'm just going by what she said.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
Well, I didn't know it till this morning.
I didn't know it till this
Anyway, I'm not sure if that'll be a conflict.
Why would it not be? Why would it be a conflict? Hold on, you're gonna say it's being a conflict?
No, I don't know.
No,
I just,
It was asked about a conflict being on the fire committee. Okay. Exactly, you want to say no to fire services.
Exactly.
all I know is the county mayor appointed Mr. Van Buskirk, and that's all I know.
As a coordinator, but is this not a standing committee that we appoint a chairman ever?
I'm not sure about that. I would have to go back. I don't know. This is not a standard committee like we normally have our committees, because each district represented, we would have to go back, I'd have to go back and ask the mayor about that, Mr. Steins. I don't know.
Can you just ask to bring it up for a vote?
Yes.
You're saying.
And
Well, I
then you
just
turn
thought
around
we
and
had
change
to
it.
have a vote, I'm not sure, I think we need to.
I mean,
Why did you bring it up for a
my
vote?
resolution, let's back up. My resolution, it says,
Crowd, group, please.
my resolution, it says the county mayor is the chairman of this committee unless he
Appoint
appoints
somebody.
otherwise.
And he told me he had appointed Mr. Van Buskirk, so that's why I don't know if we're supposed to elect, that's what I was
I
asking.
say it would have to come to the full commission.
Okay,
I mean, I really, I think that's what, we need to check with the mayor, but I think it would come to the full commission, because it'd be like any other committee, you would have to have somebody, it would be, this is a committee that gets reappointed every year, so it could change. I mean, Mr. Van Buskirk has been put off of the committee
Well,
each year
I will
either.
just say this, if you notice Chuck here, it says coordinator, it does not say chairman. So
Correct.
Angie may be right in that,
Right.
that it is an appointment
Well-
and we don't have the authority to do
Right.
that. Not that
No,
you shouldn't
no,
be there,
no.
that's just what I'm saying. I
We
don't
need
know.
to do, we need to do this right.
Maybe we can work this out this way.
We can work all this out later.
I think let's table that till the 12th, so we
Right.
know exactly what we need to do.
But the bottom line
Hopefully,
is
Mayor.
that we're not, we are gonna make sure that your voice is heard. I mean, we do need to do research, people like me that has questions, and a lot of these questions, just like, I was just handed this from 2011, the resolution, where it clearly points in section 8 that,
The hotel motel tax
Right.
money be
it's an
distributed as
incentive, and it tells what the incentive is for training association, for the necessary $4,500 for training association, facility, maintenance, and repair of vehicles. The 2011 increase for hotel motel tax is reserved for incentive distribution. Now, to me, that's a question somebody should ask years ago, not 2015. Shame on somebody out there for not trying to figure out why that, you're not getting the money that you is allocated. That's a lot of money. It's not.
Divided up by 15 fire departments, how much you talking about?
Well, I
You're
don't know
talking
about this dividing up.
You're talking about
I
a year's,
think- I
a
think
year's salary of what
it's
they're getting right now.
incentive- It's incentive for fire departments to do what they're asked to do. So maybe some departments do more than others, and maybe they deserve more than others.
I think that needs to be tabled in to check with the mayor. This was just something on me at the last minute when I was this afternoon, so I didn't have time, I tried to call the mayor and I couldn't get him, so I didn't have time to check out
It could be
anything.
that it is a coordinator that is appointed by the mayor, it could be that we have the authority to,
George, you have something to say?
Yeah, I would like to say that you're talking about incentive, for this money. I think all of us working for free is a big incentive.
I
to me.
agree. But I know, but what you were saying about the training, being paid for
Right, I
the
understand what
training,
you're
being
saying.
trained for the vehicles.
You're saying incentive to distribute this money. When you buy one fitting that costs $700, $30,000 don't go far. And your fuel bill and stuff like that. I understand it says for incentive, but
You're thinking it
equipment
should be
is a
used
lot
for
too.
something else.
Yeah,
other than
equipment is a
incentive.
lot too.
Well, then I guess the resolution would have to be changed in order for.
Well, I think it still be considered an incentive.
Well,
You
you
do?
can, and
I
it's.
think it would be considered an incentive.
Sure.
An incentive can be whatever everybody wants to determine.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, I think it's been tabled until the next meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
One thing, please. I want to thank the board for their candor and letting us speak tonight. And I hope that in the future that we can start working better together and that we can get a coordinator or chairman of your committee or whatever you want to call it that can start attending our meetings. And y'all are welcome to attend our meetings and ask any questions you want to. In the future, I'd like to suggest that you yourself, if you're going to be over a specific area, how about visiting that area? Visit your fire department. Go see your local fire department. Go look at what they've been doing. Go support them at their fundraisers. Go support the fire departments out of your district at their fundraisers. Because that's where they're getting the biggest part of their money from. And help them out any way you can. And ask any questions you want to. They've got an open door. They'll explain to you whatever you need to know. Whatever you need to know, Mr. Armstrong.
Chief, just out of curiosity, the municipal department, how much money y'all raise on fundraising each year?
I do about $7,000 to $8,000 a year on 2 different fundraisers. That's total combined, and it depends. It fluctuates, but on average about $7,000 to $8,000 a year. Now, since you mentioned that, and I'll elaborate a little bit further. Over the years, that money kind of pulled up a little bit. Last year, I was fortunate enough, by recommendation from a neighboring fire chief, to check out a fire truck that had been repossessed, it had been repoed. And I was able to take the biggest part of that money out of the fundraiser and go purchase this truck for cash. My city kicked in the rest of the money that we didn't have in that account. And I flew to Pennsylvania on Halloween night last year and drove this truck back 900 something miles and was able to get a truck. An incentive would have been to have some extra money because it wiped my fundraising account out. But I was able to do that with that money. So it takes a while to build those funds up in order to go purchase a $155,000 piece of equipment. And that's cheap because it was repo. Brand new, you're talking about $240,000. Brand new. And that's what you're looking at.
And while we're on that, we go back to maintain equipment and everything, and I can speak on county's behalf because I'm there and I know what we do. We've got a fire truck that was bought in 1968 new by the city of Keon, and we still fight fire with that truck.
I just replaced a 64 last year with this new one I just bought.
The stuff's getting done, and from me as myself and as a county, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up and your opinions. I think that's very valuable, and we need this discussion, but we've got to get this, we need to get this worked out and move on. There's no need to keep dwelling on
You're right.
this. This has been going on for
You're
2
right.
to 3 years. We need to stop this.
You're right. Thanks, I thank the committee on behalf of the chief, and thank you for listening to us tonight.